what do we mean when we say the waters in this ancient mythos context?
Well, see, at the beginning of most creation myths, all that you have is primordial chaotic waters. You don't have the gods. You don't have the cosmos as we know it, with stars and a sky and sun and moon and all these things. What you have is just the waters, the chaotic waters. That's all that's there. And sometimes inside of them, you might have the Leviathan or the great sea dragon, the great sea serpent, inside of the chaotic waters, or personified itself as the chaotic waters. This is kind of hard for people to understand in the modern day. Oftentimes, the chaotic waters is the Leviathan. Like the waters themselves are, personified as that great creature in many of these myths, these creation myths. But that's what you have at the beginning. So it's fundamental to understand that in these beginning of these creation myths, what you find is just chaos, disorder. You need something to come along and make it ordered. And so, in many of these myths, that's exactly what takes place. But because in these myths you have the sea personified, or the great dragon or the great sea serpent in the sea, the Leviathan, you also need that creature to be defeated and battled with in order for any order to be established initially. So what I want to do is I want to read a quote from Playing with Leviathan, one of my favorite titles for a book ever, where they talk about the ancient Near Eastern cosmology, just to kind of create the picture in your mind, right? So they imagine the Earth to be a relatively flat disk on which a mountain or ziggurat temple tower rose up out of the chaotic waters. The disk rested on pillars, founded in the bottom of the primordial flood. The ocean also surrounded the Earth, which was therefore conceptualized as a huge island in a wide sea of water. This sea swarmed with creatures, small and big, worms, snails, snakes, fish, whales, and dragons. They were the creatures in the waters under the earth, Exodus 24, which the Israelites were not allowed to depict because they enjoyed divine status in the religions of Israel's neighbors, who gladly described, sculpted, and painted them. So we should understand here that the images the ancient used to talk about this theme essentially exemplified by things being unordered or enemies of order, right? So dragons, serpents, the sea monster, demons, these are enemies of order, or things that are unordered, the water, the wilderness, and the desert. So that's that's kind of a good introduction to what the thinking was of it.
I think from a disc, we can say that the world really seemed to be a dome. So you got, and think about this, without any education and without any real perspective or ability to climb towers and get in planes and whatnot, the world really does look like a disc. It's just a flat plane around you, and as far as you can tell, the world ends in any given direction when you run into water. If you walk on the surface, the world ends at the water. If you dig down, the world ends at water. And sometimes the dome in the sky leaks and water comes out. And so it makes sense of why you would think the world is built in this watery place and that it's just sheer chaos out there, because the closest we can get to this water is you either dig down, it's complete darkness, or you go out into the sea and it's complete chaos, especially in ancient times. The ocean is a monstrous place, and it makes sense that people would picture it as a monster.
Yeah, it takes sailors, right? Sailors would just go out there and not come back, right? Fishermen would go out there and not come back. There would be raging storms. I mean, think about it being an ancient person and seeing a hurricane, right? Just terrifying, right? All you can imagine is that is utterly chaos. That is not a place that human life can exist, right? Human life needs the stability of land. It needs the dry land to live and exist on. And so, yeah, you're right. That's exactly the idea.